Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Selena if you're new, and today I'm going to do some meal prep using what I consider one of the most underrated appliances out there, and that is the slow cooker. So I have 4 slow cookers. One of them is my Instant Pot, and if you have an Instant Pot, well, at least on my version of it, I have a slow cook button. So I'm going to use my Instant Pot as a slow cooker today. I've got 2 cheap Big W slow cookers and one I've had for about 20 years. They all go just fine, okay? So when you're, if you're looking at buying a slow cooker, don't think you have to buy the most expensive, amazing thing out there. These things are just low and slow cooking. So today I'm doing 4 different main meals. These meals will all feed at least 6 servings, although because I serve them with other things like rice and pasta, we'll probably get closer to 8 servings out of each one of these. I am going to put all of mine on today and have them cooked, and we're actually going to eat this for the rest of the week. So I'm super excited because I'm not cooking again this week when it comes to dinner. So this is going to be fantastic for anyone who wants to meal prep but is even shorter on time than someone who maybe has a couple of hours to spare in the kitchen. This is the video for you, okay? So I'm going to be able to set these, and in 4 hours I can do other things. I can come back and just finish them off, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one at a time purely to show you in case there's one dish you're interested in and not the others. Each of these freeze really well as well, okay? So if you wanted to make them and you want to do individual portioned out meals and pop them in the freezer, these all do that really well, okay? They all reheat quite well, and we will be doing that with some of these. So what we're going to do is have each one of these for dinner, and then all of the leftovers will be individually portioned and popped in our freezer for other nights when we have those freezer meal sort of nights that happen to just about everyone. So I'm just going to pop a couple of these out of my way. So I have nothing in my slow cooker to begin with. I have plugged it in, and I am just going to dump everything in here. This is why I love my slow cookers, because they are absolute time savers. You can dump and go. So I have 1 onion. I've got 5 little cloves of garlic. 3 would probably be enough, but I wanted 5. So this one is going to be a shredded chicken breast in a creamy style sun-dried tomato sauce that I'm going to serve with pasta, and I'm actually going to put my pasta in my slow cooker when it's almost done, so sort of the last half hour. But right now we're just going to get this chicken going. So straight up in here I'm going to put 3 chicken breasts. I have cut my chicken breast in half for no particular reason. I have 1 onion and my 5 little cloves of garlic all going in. I am going to add some herbs and spices here. So I've got 1/4 cup of Italian herbs. I've got 1 teaspoon each of onion powder, garlic powder, and 1 tablespoon of all-purpose seasoning. So I make my own all-purpose seasoning, and if you would like to see how I do that, I do have a video on that, which I'll try and link to this one. So spices in. I want some sun-dried tomatoes. Now you can use sun-dried tomatoes that are in oil, and quite often when I make my own sun-dried tomatoes, which I do, I will keep them in oil and in the fridge, but at the moment I've just been drying my tomatoes as they've come off the vine with the dehydrator until they are nice and crispy, and then I'm just popping them in a jar, okay? So saves on a bit of olive oil. Olive oil's pretty expensive. So I'm gonna go with about 1 cup of my tomatoes, and you could use about maybe a small jar of sun-dried tomatoes. You can add a little bit of the oil if you want. And I've got yellow and red tomatoes in there because that's what we're growing. To that, 2 tins of diced tomato. And I also want half a cup of chicken stock, and I'm going to use the other half in one of my other recipes today. But what I'm going to do, so I'm just going to add half of this jar. I'm going to use my chicken stock to clean out my tomato tins, just to get every last bit. I don't add salt, or I didn't add salt to that batch of chicken stock, so I am going to add some salt and some pepper, a nice good pinch of salt, a good crack of pepper. And as far as getting this started, that's it. Like, that's how easy it is. Towards the end, I will make a cheesy sort of style creamy sauce that's going to go in here, and I will also add my cooked pasta. So the recipe's not finished, but it's certainly enough to turn it on and walk out the door if that's what you needed to do. So there we have everything in there. Lid on, and I'm just going to turn this on. So I'm just going to turn this on to high. I want this to be done in about 3 or 4 hours. If you wanted it to go for longer because you were out of the house maybe for longer, or you just wanted a bit more time, you could pop it on low and give it about 5 hours. All right, recipe number 2 is going to be my hoisin beef meatballs. These will be served with rice. They can also be served with just like steamed veggies, some Asian style noodles, any of those things. I'm going to get the meatballs and the sauce going in here. So first of all, I want about 3 good teaspoons of ginger. I am using jarred ginger. I have run out of fresh ginger, so jarred it is. I want about 3 or 4 cloves of garlic, roughly chopped again here. I've got 1 onion, which I'm just going to slice. All right, to that I'm going to add the other half a jar, or half a cup roughly, of chicken stock. I have 1/3 of a cup of oyster sauce. I have half a cup of hoisin sauce. I want to add about 1 tablespoon of soy. I'm using a sweet soy, and I'm generous with my tablespoon. Give that bit of a stir. I want to add squeeze of half of a lime. Again, some fresh pepper. Good pinch of salt. And I have 1 kilo of beef meatballs. Now I've pre-made these meatballs. They're pre-cooked. You could use frozen meatballs, any meatballs, it really doesn't matter. Straight in there. I'm also going to add half a kilo or a full bag of frozen broccoli. Now with the frozen broccoli, it's optional to add it now or add it at the end, sort of the last 10 minutes. I want to add it now because I actually do want it to form part of the sauce that's surrounding my meatballs. It will go obviously less bright in colour, it will be a bit dull, but that's okay. We will serve this one with rice tonight, or whatever night we choose to eat this one. I'm going to turn this one onto low, and that is simply because my meatballs are not frozen. They are pre-cooked. If they were raw and frozen, I would have had it on high because I want this to just go really low and slow. So the next dish that I'm going to make is a slow cooker beef stroganoff. I'm going to get most of the components done in here, and then at the very end, just before serving, I'll be adding the creamy element. So normally you would use sour cream. I use Greek yogurt just because we don't buy sour cream, and we do make Greek yogurt, and Greek yogurt makes a nice lighter alternative for sour cream if you're looking for one. I'm going to make this one in my Instant Pot and skip a step that I would otherwise recommend if I was using one of my other sort of slow cookers. So what I want to do is I just want to sort of start my meat off. I don't love putting raw meat into my stroganoff. I like to give it just a little bit of starting in the cooking, and these ceramic style slow cookers, they don't allow for that. So what I've got is my Instant Pot. I've put it onto saute mode. All right, and because this one has a stainless steel pot instead of ceramic, we can saute straight in here, then add our other ingredients and turn it over to slow cooking. If I'm going to make this one in one of these ceramic style slow cookers or a different slow cooker where I couldn't sear, all I do is just start it off in a pan on my stove, the meat, and then add that to my slow cooker. So either way, I could have done one or the other, but because I had to use my Instant Pot anyway today, I'm just going with the functions that it allows me to have. So I'm just going to let that heat up. While that's heating up, I'm going to just cut my onion and garlic again. This time I want 2 onions. I will serve my stroganoff with a bit of pasta and salad. I'll also serve that shredded creamy chicken or tomato-based chicken, sun-dried tomato chicken with a salad. But I won't make those salads until I'm ready to eat. So again, I'm just slicing my onion into sort of wedgie bits. Is that a word? Wedgie bits. I have 3 cloves of garlic this time. All right. My onion and garlic is ready when my slow cooker is ready. That's feeling quite warm. I'm just going to give it a quick spray with some olive oil. And I have 1 kilo of diced beef straight in there. While my beef is doing its thing over there, I'm just going to slice about 250 grams of mushrooms. And because I like to add as much flavour as possible to my dishes, I'm going to make up some sort of mushroom stock. So another thing I do if you're new to my channel is I often dehydrate things like mushrooms. Quite often I'll turn it into a powder and make like a mushroom stock that way. I haven't turned these ones into a powder. So I've just got some dried mushrooms, and I'm just going to eyeball about a third of a cup of dried mushrooms. My kettle is boiling behind me. That's what the noise is. I'm going to add some hot water to this and just let this sit for a couple of minutes until I'm ready to add it to my pot. All right, so I'm happy with the level of color my beef is starting to get. I don't need it to be fully cooked or anything like that. I just wanted it started off. Now I'm just going to add all the other components. So here I have a tablespoon of smoked paprika. I have about a tablespoon of dill, and I have a teaspoon each of garlic and onion powder. I want to add a good pinch of salt, a crack of pepper. I'm going to turn off the saute function as well on my pot. I don't want that to keep cooking that way. In with my garlic and my onion. I have a tin of tomatoes. A tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Full jar of chicken stock. I'm just going to again clean out my tin with that. 2 dill gherkins or pickled gherkins, chopped, and my mushrooms. And lastly, I'm just going to add my dehydrated mushrooms with their liquid. All right, so that's my slow cooker beef stroganoff. I will cook pasta to serve with this one. I will also add some Greek yogurt towards the end once it's ready to go. So this doesn't come with a lid for the slow cooker, although I think you can get them now. So that's just a saucepan lid I'm using. I am going to hit my slow cooker button. Set that aside. That one is essentially done as well. So the fourth dish that I am going to get going in my slow cooker today is going to be a Chipotle style shredded chicken. I'm going to use this in burritos. I'll add some rice to it. We'll add a bit of cheese. And yeah, so it will be the bulk or the meat component of burritos. If I didn't want to serve it that way, you could always use it as like a burrito bowl. So you could have like a bowl with some rice, some black beans, some of this shredded chicken, cheese, sour cream, corn chips, lettuce, whatever floats your boat. This particular one I'm deliberately making into burritos. So into my slow cooker straight away. Again, I have 3 chicken breasts. I did cut these ones in half as well. So to my chicken, I'm just going to again add a diced onion. I've got 3 garlic cloves here. Because this is going to be another shredded chicken dish, these spices, I guess you could call them, these vegetables are going to break down pretty well, okay? They're going to form part of the sauce. So straight in with our onion and our garlic. Okay, so to my garlic, onion and chicken, I want to add some spices. What I have here is 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of cumin. I've got half a teaspoon of coriander powder and a teaspoon of coriander leaves. I have half a teaspoon of dill, 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika. So straight in with those. I want to add another good pinch of salt, a good crack of pepper. I'm going to add some chipotle sauce. You could also use those chipotles in adobo. I'm just using this one, and I'm going with a couple or maybe 3 big spoonfuls of that, about 1/3 of a jar. I have 1 jar of salsa, 1 tin of tomatoes. I have a cup of frozen corn. You could add black beans as well if you wanted. And I have the juice of 1 lime. That bit of a mix. Now that they're all mixed together, again, we're going on to high with this one, lid on, 3-4 hours at the most. Okay, so in 3 or 4 hours, I'm going to come back. I'm going to show you what they look like. But yeah, that would have to be the easiest meal prep that exists. Okay, if you're not confident cooking, or you're new to cooking, or you're new to things like meal prep, and it's something you really want to give a go, but you're intimidated by the thought of lots of cooking, this style, so using slow cookers, is absolutely beginner friendly, okay? It's also experience friendly. So if you've been cooking for a long time, don't ignore your slow cooker. They're a fantastic appliance to have. So to make a creamy element to add to the sun-dried tomato pasta, sun-dried tomato shredded chicken pasta, and also to add one to our shredded chipotle chicken, you can add some cream to it, or you could add some cream cheese to it. I'm gonna make a bit of a blend up using some Parmesan, some cottage cheese, and some cream cheese. This just keeps it lighter, gives it a little bit more volume, like cream, but without quite as much fat, all right? When it comes to our stroganoff, I'm going to add Greek yogurt to that one. If you didn't want to use Greek yogurt, you could absolutely use this blend again, or you could use sour cream, okay? So what I'm going to do is, for the chipotle chicken and the sun-dried tomato chicken, I'm going to make up 2 batches. So we've just got some Parmesan cheese. This one's got more in it because it's using fresh Parmesan. This one's using that dried packet Parmesan. I want to add about a tablespoon, roughly a big heaped amount of cream cheese. I like to use spreadable cream cheese. I just find it easier to work with, but by all means you could use the block style. On about a cup, so about half of one of these tubs each. This tub is missing a bit because I've been using it for other things. But if you want to make this particular sort of creamy substitute for these dishes, it's about 250 grams roughly of cottage cheese. So we're just missing a little bit. So this is going to form the creamy component, the cheesy component, without adding too much cheese. We will also add cheese to the chipotle. If it's too thick, we can always add a little bit of water. We're going for the consistency of sort of sour cream too. So just to give you as a guide, it's a little bit thicker than cream, more the consistency of sour cream. Just like that. Okay, so that's going to form our cheesy, creamy component. All right, so it's been a few hours, 4 actually, and all I've done is take some lids off. I've turned all of the crock pots off, or slow cookers, and I've just shredded the chicken in the 2 chicken dishes, and all I did for that was just get 2 forks and start shredding it. I have boiled 1 packet of linguine pasta. I'm going to add that to my sun-dried tomato shredded chicken dish. I'm not going to add rice to the chipotle chicken or to the hoisin beef meatballs yet, simply because these meals are going to be reheated. And if you reheat rice that's submerged in liquid like the slow cooker, it just sometimes has a tendency to like break up. So what I'm going to do, because we will reheat these as we need them, I'll cook fresh rice for those, but that's all they need. Same with the stroganoff. I will add freshly cooked pasta to the side of my stroganoff. So just to completely finish these off, what I'm going to add is my light cheese mixture that I made up to the sun-dried tomato chicken and the chipotle chicken. I'll add a little bit of Greek yogurt to my stroganoff. The hoisin beef meatballs are good. I'm just going to give them a sprinkle of spring onions and a little bit of coriander. But if you do find, if you make these, that the sauce begins to curdle. So if I add Greek yogurt to my hot stroganoff, it's going to curdle, it always does. The same with this light cheese mixture. When I add it to my warm sauces, so these tomato bases, it tends to curdle a little bit. And a way to get around that is just to make a little bit of corn flour slurry, mix that in as you're reheating your meal, and it will bring the sauce back together, okay? So to show you where we're at, that is the Italian shredded, or the sun-dried tomato shredded chicken there. Now it's still super hot, so like I said, when I add the sauce, it will curdle, and that's okay. And you will find all of the recipes or the ingredients I used today in the bottom of my description box, including this cheese sauce substitute. We will add our full packet of pasta. Finish this one off with just a little bit of basil, some spring onions, and some parsley. All right, so I've added about a cup and a half of Greek yogurt to my stroganoff. Just mix that through. This one I will thicken with some corn flour slurry because we like our stroganoff to be a little thicker. This is on the thin side, but I won't do that until we are actually going to eat it. And I'll add the pasta to that as well. So just a little bit of parsley on top of that one. And for the chipotle chicken, again, another batch of my light cheese sauce alternative going in this one. You could use sour cream as well if you wanted to not use this. Sour cream and some tasty cheese. We will add tasty cheese as well to this. This would also make a fantastic filling for enchiladas if you were needing another option for this one. And I've got about half a cup of just some tasty cheese there. A little bit of coriander, some spring onions because we like them and we have them. All right, now as I said, I will be adding rice to my chipotle shredded chicken. I will be adding rice to my hoisin beef. I will be adding a cooked packet of pasta, a full packet of 500 grams to my stroganoff, and the shredded chicken sun-dried tomato pasta. We'll eat that one tonight because I did add the pasta to that one already. They do reheat perfectly. They do freeze really well. It's just that if I'm going to have these pre-made and I'm already aware of it, I won't always add those little extra sides on the making of them. So thank you so much for spending time with me today. I do hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to share it around with your friends, anyone who might like some meal prep inspiration or slow cooker ideas. Share this video around. Don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button, tell YouTube you value the content of my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye.